Let's say that you have dinner reservations tonight. You get dressed all day. You get your hair done, your makeup done, your nails done. You go to the hotel boutique and buy you a beautiful outfit, and you are dressed to the nines and ready to go to dinner with the love of your life. And when you arrive at the restaurant, let's say you're in Hollywood at a high-end restaurant, and you arrive there and there are people holding signs that say, "Are you sure you want to eat here? Your food is being prepared by a murderer. Would you stay or would you go?" Let's find out right now. Happy Wicked Wednesday, my Cajun cuties. Yes, it's me, Anne-Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carrollton, Louisiana, Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope after this video that y'all like, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to press the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne-Marie, the Cajun Crime Queen. I hope you'll have a beverage. I hope you'll have a snuggle partner or a snuggle fur partner. Those are the best, and you're ready to hear a true crime story. Now, today we are going to discuss the horrifying case of Dominique Dunne. Dominique Dunne did a lot, and she was only 23 when she lost her life due to domestic violence. Dominique Dunne was born in Santa Monica on November 23rd, 1959. Dominique Dunne is named after her very famous father, Dominique Dunne, who is a writer, producer, actor, and hosted one of my favorite shows, Power, Privilege, and Justice, which ran for 9 seasons. Dominique Dunne wanted to be an actress. Her first role was the 1975 film Diary of a Teenage Hitchhiker. She also had several supporting roles in the 80s, such as Lou Grant, Family, Heart to Heart, and Fame. After her television appearances, she was cast in the supernatural horror film Poltergeist, produced by none other than Steven Spielberg. The film was a huge international film. It was the 8th highest grossing film of 1982. Now, Dominique Dunne was very special. She knew exactly what she wanted. She left college to pursue acting, and she was an amazing actor. And we all know the movie Poltergeist with that cute little girl. She had long blonde hair. She has her hand on the TV and she says, "They're here." And it was a huge film because that's when films really started coming out with all of this supernatural. It was a great film and a great start to Dominique Dunne's career as an actress. On a beautiful November fall night in 1981, Dominique Dunne meets sous chef John Sweeny. He was a chef in California. It was instant attraction, love at first sight. All the fireworks went off like boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? When you see them, you're like, oh, let's go make out in the car. That kind of feeling. And that is the feeling that Dominique and John Sweeny had with each other. They just wanted to wrap their arms around each other and never be apart. They were on the fast track to love. They even moved in together in West Hollywood not long after they started dating. They loved each other that much. But Dominique's friend said that John Sweeny was the type of person that would push all his goodness on you. Okay, y'all know what I mean when someone says something like, "I did it, and I did it 10 times better. You may have done this, but not only did I do it as well, but I did it better." And he was always just pushing all this goodness about himself on people, which seemed very fake. And I can see where that would be fake, you know? It was also said that he never really fit in. He never had a group of people. One of Dominique's friends said they would go to a restaurant and he kept ordering Dom Perignon, which is kind of weird because none of them really had money, but he kept ordering these bottles of Dom Perignon champagne. He was just always trying to do whatever he could to fit in a crowd. John Sweeny was born and raised in Pennsylvania in a very, very violent household. His dad was a severe alcoholic and would often abuse John Sweeney's mother. And when John would step in, he would attack John. And John was very aggressive and had a very bad temper with his friends. And all his friends had the same thing. He was very short-tempered, even as a young child. But we don't know what John may have seen in his house growing up with his very violent father, who was always drinking. John led that life. Well, he finally escaped. He went to California, and he loved California. He wanted to be a chef. He went to chef school and started working. But his hobbies were karate and art. And it was said, there's no proof to this, but it was said that he did a painting using his own blood. That is creepy. That is scary. But some people say that's the kind of person he was. Is he or isn't he? In 1976, when John Sweeny moved to LA, he was hired as a chef. And a lot of people said he was an amazing chef. He had all this high energy. He was happy. He smiled. Even Wolfgang Puck, we all know the famous Wolfgang Puck, who owns the legendary restaurant Spago in Beverly Hills, has several restaurants. He even took a liking into John Sweeny. John Sweeny was great. He did what he had to do. He went to work. And even Dominique loved him so much that she took him to New York to meet her dad and her brothers. She was just in love and wanted everybody to know and wanted everybody to meet her man. We all know how that is. We want everybody to know we're in love. Well, they were going to all the famous restaurants in New York. And while they were there at a restaurant, they were waiting at the bar for their table. And what happens? A fan, recognizes Dominique Dunne from the movie Poltergeist, which was a huge success. Huge. I know y'all have all heard of it. It is an amazing movie. Well, he recognized Dominique Dunne and went over to talk to her. John Sweeny became infuriated. He was so angry that he picked up the fan, y'all, and shook the fan. Screamed at him, fussed at him, didn't want anybody near Dominique Dunne. He wanted to have her all for himself, very possessive. That was the first sign that Dominique Dunne saw there's something wrong with him. This isn't normal. Then he always wanted to dress, he and Dominique to dress in the same color, which, okay, it's cute, whatever. You know, if you're in high school, you're going to Sadie Hawkins or you're with your friends. But all the time, you and your man dress in the same color all the time, that shows to me a sign of possession. Like he wanted to be with her 24/7. It was said he was pulling her away from her friends, her family. He wanted to have her all to himself. Now, on one occasion, Dominique Dunne fled to her mother's house. She ran inside. Her mother saw she was all bruised and crying, had been shaking. And she's like, Dominique, what's wrong? She told her mother that John Sweeny had beat her head into the floor. He had pulled chunks of her hair out. He was absolutely crazy. He had severely attacked her. Now, I know from what I've been through, when you get your hair pulled, it's so painful. It is extremely painful. They said he was pulling chunks out of the roots of her hair, banging her head into the floor. Dominique stayed at her mother's for 2 days, but 2 days after the incident happened, John Sweeny shows up with flowers, apologizes to Dominique, and she goes back with him. Now, we all know that a lot of people go back to their abusers. It takes a long time to get away from that because they think they're not going to do it again. They're going to change and life will be perfect. But it never works out that way. Just like Dr. Amy Hardwick, just like me, we have went back several times and it never works. John Sweeny would constantly accuse Dominique Dunne of cheating on him. He always would tell her, oh, I know you're sleeping with this person, even her acting teacher, anybody and everybody. And my ex used to do that to me, and that shows a form of insecurity. They know, your abuser knows that you can do better than them, so they're constantly worried that you are going to get with someone else that's going to treat you better, which, yes, it happens. That does happen, but she wasn't doing anything wrong. Nothing. She would go to acting classes. She would go to auditions. She was living her life. And just 4 weeks after the first incident happened in August. The second incident happened on September 26th of 1982. Dominique Dunne had some friends flying in from Chicago. They were going to stay at her house, her and John's house. They were living together this time. Dominique said they came in from Chicago, they went to dinner, they had a great time, they mingled. When they got back to Dominique and John's house, though, the friends heard all kind of screaming and yelling in Dominique and John's room. And they heard Dominique yelling for help, and it sounded like she was choking. So the friends knocked on the door, clankety, clank, 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 and said, hey, what's going on? Y'all knock it off and settle whatever argument you have in the morning. Let me pause. If I hear my friend choking, yelling for help, I'm not going to say, knock, knock, y'all settle the argument in the morning. I'm getting involved. I'm going to break in there like it's Charlie's Angels. And you know what? If I have a man with me, you breaking in too. We all going in. We all going to get involved. Because so many people don't want to get involved. Look, I'm so mad right now. I'm crazy mad. Because that's just crazy. You don't just knock on the door and say, y'all knock it off and settle in the morning. She was yelling for help, choking. Dominique came out of the room, showed her friends what he had done to her, showed them her neck, and she turned to John, which is crazy, and said, may I go to the bathroom? He said, yeah, that's fine. Okay, but anyway, I'm not going to say anything about that because I have been in this situation, and you never want to make your abuser angry. You always want to make them happy. He told her she can go in the bathroom. John was left with her two friends in the hallway. All of a sudden, the friends and John Sweeny heard Dominique's Volkswagen rev up. She had jumped out of the bathroom window, went and got into her car and was leaving. John Sweeny ran outside, jumped on her trunk, holding the windshield wipers on the hood of her car, not her trunk, I'm sorry. She started driving like, hell with this, I'm leaving. I'm not staying over here with you. About a block after he let go of the car, he was hanging on, and she fled to a family friend's house. And she was showing the family friend, like, look what he did to me. She went into hiding. She was scared. She was worried. The friend took pictures. And what I'm going to tell you next is crazy. Dominique Dunne had an audition the next day or a few days later for this show where she was going to be this victim of abuse. And her friend jokingly said, well, they're not going to have to put on makeup because you are already so badly bruised and beaten. She joked it off and said, yes. She went to the audition and they told her, we don't have to put makeup on you because you're already so badly beaten. At that point, I realized she thought in her mind, this was normal. This was everyday life because I know how that is. I've been through it. But let me tell you this. She thought to herself at that moment, at that time, that was normal, but Dominique was ready to get out. Dominique was ready to get out of their relationship because she knew she couldn't take it anymore. Dominique wanted this relationship to be over. She was done. She wanted John Sweeny to move out of the house they were in, and she wanted for him to go to therapy and to stop the abuse. She was embarrassed. She was ashamed. She didn't want to tell anyone about the abuse, but she wanted it to be over with John Sweeny. She was done. He started going to therapy. He was very optimistic. He thought that it would change him. And I'm going to pause right here and tell y'all. Remember at the beginning, I told y'all that John Sweeney's father was a severe alcoholic and used to beat up his mother and then beat up on him? I don't understand why John was doing all of this to Dominique when he hated what his dad did to his mom. So be careful, in my opinion, if you have kids around, because they're little sponges. Their brains are sponges and they're picking up everything. So some kids may think this is normal. But anyway, Dominique said, you need to go. I'm done. So she had all the locks changed. And on October 25th, she moved out of the house, changed the locks. Yo, he would drive by her house, even while the locksmith was there, changing the locks. She showed the locksmith, look, there he is driving by. She was completely finished with him. She wanted nothing to do with him. She was terrified. She was scared. She's like, this is bad. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. On the night of October 30th, 1982, she called John up at the restaurant he was working in and told him, look, the relationship is over. I don't want to be with you. I want you to move on. Don't come to my house. Don't call me. Just leave me alone. and let me heal on my own. John Sweeny hangs up the phone, calls his therapist and says, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I can't believe she broke up with me for good. He abruptly left work, walked a block to her house down the road, banging on her door, even called the operator to interrupt her phone call with one of her friends. It was an emergency. He had to discuss stuff with her. Through the door, Dominique said, no, you're not coming in. In the meantime, David Packer, Dominique's friend, came over to her house to rehearse lines. They were in a movie together or a TV series. He came over. They were inside the house. John Sweeney's banging on the door. Finally, Dominique decides she's going to step out into the front porch to talk to John Sweeny. They start talking, and what happens next is horrific. David Packer said while he was inside, he heard Dominique and John Sweeny arguing. He said it was a very loud argument, so he called his friend on the phone and said, hey, if anything happens to me tonight, John Sweeny killed me. He went back into another room, put on a record, and started rehearsing his lines. All of a sudden, he said he heard this thump. At some point, John Sweeny lunged at Dominique, and they both fell off the porch, and he was strangling her, dragging her all across the yard into the neighbor's driveway, still dragging her while he was choking her. David Packer heard all of this, called the police, called 911, told them what was going on, and the operator told David Packer, if you're any type of a good person, you will go outside and help your friend. And he didn't. He walked outside and saw John Sweeny kneeling over Dominique Dunne's body and yelled, call the police, I just killed my girlfriend. John Sweeny ran away, called the police once again, hurry up and fled the scene before the cops came because he was so terrified for his life. I think that's horrible. I think David Packer should have helped in some kind of way. I think he should have gone do something. But to his defense, we don't know the kind of person John Sweeny was. We don't know if John Sweeny would have attacked him. We don't know if David Packer knew his history, John's history with Dominique, and said, if I go over there, something's going to happen to me. I just have to get my friend help. But in my opinion, I know I would have done something. That's just my personal opinion. I think that something could have happened. Something could have occurred. But sadly, the paramedics arrived. John Sweeny yelled, I killed my girlfriend. He was performing CPR on her, trying to get her to breathe. The police detained John Sweeny. The paramedics said she wasn't breathing. She had no pulse. They rushed her to Cedars-Sinai Hospital. They put her on life support. But sadly, just 5 days later, she was taken off of life support and passed away. She was another victim of domestic violence. This was very scary. And John Sweeny admitted everything. He admitted that he had killed his girlfriend. There were witnesses. And he had a history of domestic violence. So everyone knew that John Sweeny killed her on purpose. He claims it was an act, a crime of passion. He was upset. And guess what? In September of 1983, guess what kind of sentence John Sweeny received? He received a 6-year sentence. 6 years. Can y'all believe that? Can y'all imagine being the parents of Dominique Dunne, seeing the murderer sitting there of your own child, your flesh and blood gets 6 years? And here comes even worse. He only stayed in prison 3 years and 7 months and then was out. They said he changed his name. They said he is still working in California. At first he had moved away, but came back to California working as a chef. And it is said that people do hold signs and call restaurants and say, hey, the person that is about to serve you, your food is being prepared by the hands that killed Dominique Dunne. It is very scary. And Dominique's father, Dominique Dunne, was well known. He found out John Sweeny was engaged and called the parents of the young lady and told the parents what John Sweeny did, and that ended that relationship. But Dominique Dunne said he couldn't keep chasing and fighting John Sweeny. He said his life had to go on. And he said that when you lose a child, your whole world stops. And I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine what that does to someone. I hope I never have to go through it. And my heart goes out to him, Dominique's brothers, and Dominique's mother. I hope that they think about Dominique and all the fun memories they had with her, and they will see her again one day. I just know that she was another victim of domestic violence that lost her life due to her abuser. My final thought, I always come to y'all with my final thought. I don't even know where to begin, y'all. I can't even tell y'all how scary this case was. This was a crazy case. This was a case that I look at and I say to myself, how can it get this bad in just a matter of a year? Within a year, the girl that you met, remember, they met in November of 81. By October of 82, Dominique was dead. Dominique was gone. It only took a year for this to occur, and it is so scary. But he's living his life. They said he changed his name, he's working. I'm going to talk to y'all now a little bit about how to get out of a situation for domestic violence, because it is a very scary place to be. And we have to stop it now. And you can get out. Like I tell y'all all the time, you can get out of the situation. You are a good person. You can make it. Don't let anyone put you down and isolate you from your friends and family. Even teenage girls are going through domestic violence right now because they just want to love that person so much. They'll do anything to keep them happy. And we need to stop that. There are millions, trillions of people in this world. You don't have to be with someone that abuses you every day. You don't. You move on from it. You go ahead and move on with your life and tell the person, even after one time is too many. Someone put your hands on you one time, that's it. You need to be done with that person because they're going to do it again. You can't change them no matter what. And don't let them accuse you of sleeping with other people. Don't let them accuse you of not answering the phone because you were with somebody else. Live your life. And if they start stalking you and they start harassing you, take action. Go get a restraining order. Go hide at someone's house. Move out. Do whatever you can to get out, especially if there are children involved. You don't want your children around that type of situation. So, like I always tell y'all, y'all can message me, y'all can email me. Whatever I can do to help, I am here. And I want y'all to know that I want to thank y'all so much again for all y'all love and support. Y'all have supported me through everything. And if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't be here. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. I hope that y'all like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press the notification button so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. And don't forget to stay safe and have a good night. And I will see y'all next week. I love you all very much. Bye.